What's going on, tech viewers? It's Anima-tech here with a video entitled on how to install Active Directory. Now this is for you first liners there who want to know how Active Directory is installed. I'll go into more in-depth videos later on how it works and the basic features. But this is a basic guide on how to install Active Directory when you've got your first DC up and running. Now as you can see, I've got my wonderful server over installed already. Now this is something which is a prerequisite, obviously you'll have to do yourself. If you watch one of my other videos, I'll go through on how to install this on VMware Player or VMware Workstation for me actually, sorry, and then I will do one for Hyper-V, but for this time it's just for Active Directory. So what you need to do is go to Manage, the Server Manager by the way, Manage, Add Roles and Features. You get a little wonderful welcome page. Next, it's a role-based feature. Next, as you can see, I've got my wonderful default server name, already there, and a default IP address. Now, I will talk about why it's got 169 in later videos, but for this one, we leave everything as default. Click Next. Server roles, as you can see, it gives you a highlight of everything that this server you can install in terms of as a role. As you said, this is a roles and features video. As you can see over there is features, but we're going to focus on the roles at the moment. You've got your Active Directory selection there. Now, the one you want to focus on is Active Directory Domain Services. That's the one you need to tick. Now, this is one thing I like about Windows servers per se. Any prerequisites or anything they say, look, you need to do this, you need to install this, or else you can't. It just highlights it and it goes, hey, look, listen, I'm just going to install this because you need it, and it includes DNS and anything that needs to add into it as well. Let's get next. No features. Next. See, as you can see, sorry, I was just reading through this again. So it's good to check what the Window's actually doing, because I know a lot of techs who just click next and still don't know what is going on, and that makes it really hard to troubleshoot. So my key tip for any techs out there is don't be the next guy. Always know what the Window's doing, or what the wizard's doing, what it's doing behind the scenes, because if you know each stage, it will help you to actually diagnose and troubleshoot any issues you get. Now as you can see, it's going through giving you an overview of everything and things to note to help ensure the network stays. Talks about DNS, saying if it's not installed, you'll be prompted to install it. Now you can install DNS along with this without it prompting you, as you can see. There you got DNS server, but we're just gonna leave it for now because it's gonna install. I want it to prompt us to install it. So if we click next again, restart destination server, it will require a restart. Yes, that's fine. Now what it's gonna go through now is it's gonna install it. Starting installation. What I'll do now is, it could take a while for it to install. So what I'll do is I will pause the actual video, and the next time you see me will be when it's installed. Hi guys, welcome back. As you can see, it's all done. It's installed. Run through the wizard. If you remember before, I did tick restart destination server if it needs to be. So what we'll do, we'll click close. Oh, lucky me, it doesn't really need a restart. Okay, so what we're going to do is, you should see this exclamation mark here in notifications. Now do not panic, this is normal. All it's saying is, if you select it, it's like, hey, listen, you've got your ADF, you've got your Active Directory on there. How about we just start doing some post deployment and let's start configuring it. So all you got to do is just click on the flag, click promote the server to as a domain controller. Okay, so this is the wizard. Now in the older versions, well, the older OSs, you used to have DC promo is when you used to promote it. Now DC promo doesn't work here anymore. Even if you try it, it will throw you an error saying use server manager. So the best thing for you to do is do it through the GUI now. As you can see, the wizard pops up, and you have an option, select deployment operations. Now you can either add a domain controller to an existing domain. We don't have one. Add a new domain controller to an existing forest. Don't really have one. These options are only if you're adding a second domain controller, which we're not. This is our primary one. I will go through a video of showing a secondary one, just so you can familiarize yourself with the actual options here. I will go through each one, but what we're going to do is add a new forest. Now, the root domain name. What we'll call it Anima-tech, Anima-tech.com. Now, the reason I'm putting .com on here, simply because I know you can put .local, anything really, but there's a change in how certificates for websites are displayed. .local is no longer accepted. You need to have .com, .co.uk. So if you do wish to deploy a web server in your environment, you need to make sure that it matches the domain name. So whenever you issue a certificate, which again will be in one of my series as well, you need to make sure the domain name matches that of the certificate when it goes out. There are ways around it, but just saving yourself the headache, just keep it to a .com, keep it to something that you think you will use within the environment. But again, we'll just go through it. We'll leave it as animatics.com, just because for when I install my web server and show you guys how that's done, it will make my life a lot easier. Okay, so we click next. Fingers crossed there's no errors. Oh, fantastic. Okay, now you've got forest functional, domain functional. Since it's R2, we really ain't going to change it because we haven't got any Windows Server 2008, and this is not really any other servers in there. Now, as you can see, specified domain controller capability, it already tells you, look, listen, you need DNS, get that in there. And global catalog, this is the first one, it will be installed. It's not going to be a read-only domain controller because, hey guys, it's our main domain controller. I will be, again, if you're sitting there thinking, hey, hold on one second, what's a read-only domain controller? What I will do is be in another video series where I will install a read-only as well. So we'll have three. We'll have a secondary, a read-only, and we'll have this primary domain controller. Just so you guys can get your head around it, and I will do things on there to explain in more detail. So don't worry your heads right now. What we're going to do is go to the next part where it goes type directory service restore mode. Okay, so this is your granddaddy of all passwords. So I'm just going to set mine, and you're probably thinking, why are we setting this password? Why on earth would we need to set a password for Active Directory when you're just configuring it? Well, think it like this. If AD ever goes into chaos mode, if it crashes, if it becomes corrupt, you need to recover. The first thing it's going to ask is for the directory services, and here's the kicker: restore mode, password. So you can restore it, you can recover. It's all, remember, recovery points or any method of recovery is an IT guy's best friend. So always back up and always prep for recovery. That's my biggest advice I can give to anyone. We got this. Let's see what's wrong with that. Probably not. FM. Oops. Let's try that again. If I could type my password there. Just getting my password in there. Let's try it again. There we go. See, the passwords have to match, guys. Unfortunately, sometimes I type rapidly and I have stubby fingers which tend to type other characters. So once you've done that, just click next. And as you can see before, it did say you need to have a DNS server. Let's say a delegation. You get this error message. Let's just take a look at this. A delegation server cannot be because authorized zone cannot be found. Okay, we haven't got a DNS server in there, so don't worry about it. It will create it by itself. Additional options, NetBIOS name. Don't worry, it should really pick up that name at the top. So let's just wait and see what this guy's doing. No errors, good. See, NetBIOS name. Oh, Anima-tech. Fair enough. Let's take that. Oh, sorry. Yes, NetBIOS name assigned to the domain. The domain. Sorry, guys. I thought it was NetBIOS for the server there, but it's Anima-tech, which it is for people who know their NetBIOS stuff. Click next. So this is just assigning the NetBIOS name for the actual domain. Now, Active Directory just like any other type of informational file system or anything out there, has a database. Now all of its database, log files, its database and sysfile folders are kept here. Any information about it is kept here. I will go through a series of, again, through troubleshooting this, so don't worry about it. Just this is good to know. You can change this. Now when you're installing it for performance wise, you can change this, but for testing wise, again, just leave it as it is. I will do a series on performance for servers, so don't worry about that. So if we just click next to that, so that's great, those folders. Now a cool thing about this is that we've just gone through the GUI, we've done all the configuration. Microsoft always provide this little thing whenever you're going through the wizard, the view script. This is your Active Directory configuration in PowerShell. Now next time you're going to do it, just copy that, paste it, create it, and we'll run through another install involving this as well, and then we'll go through the whole PowerShell mode. This would be in my PowerShell series, so don't worry about that, but this is just a cool handy tip. Whenever you go through wizard, just click on view script. May make life easier for you the next time. If you click next, checking prerequisites. Right. Crypto computer physical network. Yeah. Okay, guys. Remember when I spoke about the IP address being 169? Now, when you have a domain controller, your primary domain controller, or any of your domain controllers, they need to have static IP addresses. And this is what my friend here is complaining to me, saying, "Hey, dude, listen. I understand. I know you've got a network card, but you really need to have a static IP address in order for this to work." We can assign that later, so it's not a big deal. That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about that. But that one's the main one. So whenever you install it, I'll show you how to create a static IP address in a bit. So we'll just click install. And now what it's going through is going through everything that we've set in the prerequisites, or we've set through this wizard. So it's going to install everything it needs to. If it does fail, it will scream and shout at me, which is fine. Like I say, these errors, all they are is the ones that we saw in the prerequisite set check, and it shouldn't really matter. If it does, we'll troubleshoot it. What I'll do is I'm just going to pause the video again, and we'll be back once this is installed. Right, guys, and we're back. This is after the restart. Let's see if I can just send my controller and delete. As you can see, after the restart, it straight away prompts me with the domain name, as you remember, Anima-tech. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to log in as my default local administrator. It remembers local admin becomes the domain and the administrator password. Anyway, I will do a series on security as well, on how to lock down your servers and your environments, the best practices. We'll run through the best practices suggested by Microsoft, and I'll test them out so you can just follow them step by step as well. As you can see, server manager starting up, and if we're lucky, I should have Active Directory all ready to go. There you go. You can see DNS is there, ADDS is there. Now that's a good sign. If you get that, that's a very good sign. Now, for your first liners out there, sorry, you'll be familiar to this, and that will be Active Directory users and computers. That's your go-to tool, your management tool to manage all the users, all the computers. And obviously there's stuff like group policy, but again, that's another topic, another video. But in order for you to view it, to see if everything's successful, if we go to tools, Active using computers, and what I like to do, and I hope a lot of other techs to do, is just to right click it and pin this to the taskbar, because you're going to be using this quite a lot. Let's just scroll. There's There's our domain name, Animatics. There's users, manage service account, domain controllers. We go in there. As you can see, this is our main domain controller. Computers, any computers that join onto the domain should be theoretically in here, unless you're doing it. These are your built-in accounts that you get. I'll be talking about this more in depth when I do other installs of applications like IIS, and show you RDS and all the other components in there. Well, this was Active Directory, guys. I hope this was helpful, and remember, like, comment and subscribe. If you have any other suggestion or anything you want me to try out to show you, more than happy to do. Make sure you leave the comments below, and make sure you once again subscribe. Thank you, guys.